guess you would know the answer right away. Now, when we say heteronomy, okay, heteronomy, it's the idea that the word's meaning is, uh, it's the idea that the word's meaning uh, depends on the context. Okay, uh, the meaning of a word is not in a vacuum or is not in isolation, but it changes based on the context, based on how people relate to one another, their, the time, place of their encounter or interaction, etc. Now, when we say polysemy, poly, from the word poly, it means many. So this refers to the idea that a word can have many meanings. So obviously, that's the correct answer. Now, the third one is homonymy. I guess you heard homonyms before. So homonyms are words with uh, that may sound alike, but they have different meanings in different forms or spelling. That's not the correct answer. Okay, correct answer is polysemy. Next, okay, statement "will you go" has a tendency to be interpreted in various ways. This can be regarded as what? So the underlined phrase is in various ways, interpretation in various ways. What do you think is the answer? Is it implicit performatives? So first of all, what is that? What is implicit performatives? Implicit performative is, is an utterance, or the words that come out of your mouth. Okay, and then as you say those words, you're also performing. You're also performing, but your performance is um, your performance is not directly related to your utterance. Okay, it's not directly related to your utterance. So, for example, um, instead of saying I apologize, you simply say sorry. You simply say sorry. Okay, so there's an utterance sorry, um, but you're not you're not directly or explicitly performing um, the utterance by saying just the word sorry. Now, if of course the other side of that is explicit performative, so you say it directly, and then you also perform the action. Okay, so you could say, I hereby declare martial law. So you use the word declare. So that's an utterance. And then your action is also an action of declaration. So that's explicit performatives. Now, direct illocutionary is maybe related, but the keyword here, when you say illocutionary, is intention. Okay? So take note of the word intention. So it's direct illocutionary is an utterance that explicitly states the speaker's intention. Okay? So when you say, I'm sorry, okay? So that is a direct illocutionary because you have the intention of making an apology. You have an intention of making an apology, and you're saying it or you're stating it directly. You're uttering the words directly. And then in indirect illocutionary is obviously the other side or the opposite of that. So you're saying something, you have the intention, but the words that you choose are not directly um, reflective of your intention. Okay, not directly reflective of your intention. So when you say, uh, "I'm sorry you feel that way," Uh, you're not directly saying sorry to the person. You're saying sorry for um, the feelings of the person, not exactly about your intention to make an apology. So I know the concepts behind all these terminologies are quite complicated, but as a suggestion, try to create an image related to all to each of these terminologies so that you can distinguish them from one another. That's how I would do it. If they are too abstract to understand, create an image associated with these terms. Next, I felt the need, blank. So here we're talking about mechanics or the rules of punctuations. Now, the correct answer here is, what do you think? So first, let's discuss the first option, which is a semicolon. So when do we use a semicolon? Okay, a semicolon is used when we are trying to clarify a series, um, and also when we're trying to indicate two closely related sentences. And usually, a semicolon is a replacement of coordinating conjunctions like the fanboys. Okay, but that's not the correct answer here. Now, the second option is called colon. And when do we use colon? Colon is used to give emphasis, okay, or to present dialogue, or introduce a list or a text, and to clarify, um, composition of titles. So, for example, um, so let's say a dialogue, okay? Um, let's say One More Chance. Uh, Bea Alonso, the actress in One More Chance, uh, said to Popoy, colon, and then quote the quotation marks, and then the dialogue. And then the third option is the M dash. Now, when do we use M dash? We use M dash to separate extra information or mark a break in a sentence. Okay, to separate extra information or mark a break in the sentence. Um, Now, the correct answer here is the M dash. Why? Because, well, first, okay, you see here the word need and also the word need here. Okay, so um, obviously the words need and need here are related. So what's going on is that the need is being clarified in the second clause. And when you're trying to clarify or explain further um, the idea in the first clause, you may use an M dash. Okay, you may use an M dash. Okay. Um, Number 19. Now, lollipops and roses. Okay, so this is the example phrase. Question is, what kind of phrase or process is this? Is it subordination? So what is subordination? Subordination is the process of using subordinating conjunctions in a pair of words. Now, what is the conjunction in this pair of words? And. Is and a subordinating conjunction? It's not. So it's not subordination. Is it coordination? Coordination is the process of using coordinating conjunctions in a pair of words. Well, and is a coordinating conjunction, so it's check. Correlation is the process of using correlative conjunctions in a pair of words. Now, what are correlative conjunctions? Could be but also, not but also, uh, not only but also, uh, from to. So those are examples of correlation. They always go together. Here, there's only one. So the correct answer is coordination. All right, 20. Okay, so this is one of the tricky questions that you can expect in the let, because it will ask you some, I would say, a pop, a pop culture related questions or examples. And now here we have OAD, which is the Oxford English Dictionary. So as a future language teacher or English teacher, you must be aware of this dictionary. One of the credible sources of information when it comes to words. But I think you have to subscribe to it so that you can have full access. So anyway, the question is, what's the latest word added to the OED? Is it senial? What is senial, by the way? Senial is a group of people belonging to a certain generation. Okay. Of course, this generation is the younger generation nowadays, who are addicted to screen or computers or the internet. Now, senial was entered in the dictionary in 2021, so quite recent. Paksiw, well, it's a Filipino word was also which can also be found in the dictionary, but it was in a much earlier version, so earlier than 2021. So it's not the correct answer. How about final girl? Now, first, what is final girl? Final girl is a term used to describe a protagonist in a show or in a program or movie, and she's the one who ends up surviving a massacre or an accident or a crime. And this entry or this term was entered in 2022. So the latest here is Final Girl. So try to also check the OED and you know look at the latest words there. Something maybe that can be trivial for you, but if you love learning, then this can definitely be interesting. Now 21. The expressions their boss might angry them for nothing. Um, so that's one phrase or expression. Emptied the beers into their open throats, another. And our beer uh, presents had already full up their heads. Hmm. Now, from the get go, some of these expressions sound like they're wrong or sound ungrammatical. But anyway, let's continue. Are examples of the use of blank and should not be seen as mistakes since they operate according to a separate linguistic logic. Okay, interesting. What do you call these expressions? Is it pigeon? First, what is pigeon? Now, pidgin is a type of language which is, very basic language or a simplified form of language between two groups of people contact uh, whose contact is needed for trade or business. Okay, so that's pidgin. Now, Creole is also a type of language um, between groups of people, but the status is more developed and stable, unlike in pidgin, which can be gone or can be extinct pretty fast because the contact between groups of people is very short. Unlike Creole, the contact is more frequent. Now, interlanguage, as already explained, is the idea. Um, this is the language between your L1 or your native language, your first language, mother tongue, and your target language. And they say that uh, and they say that the second language learners or foreign language learners are always at this phase, the interlanguage phase. So we're somewhat in the middle. Okay. Now, based on that explanation, we can say that the correct answer to this question is intergalactic. No, interlanguage. That is interlanguage. These examples, although you may think that they are grammatically wrong or incorrect, they are acceptable depending on the context. If the groups of people can understand one another, they don't have problems with these words or structures, then to them that's okay, that's acceptable. And that's a feature of interlanguage. Okay, now let's go to 22. Okay, so this is grammar. Okay, I hope by now you should have mastered grammar, especially this is one of the basic questions asked of you in taking the exam. But of course, this can be more complicated depending on some of the words that you see. So, for example, an increasing number. Okay, usually we have the a number or the number. And if we see that, it's very easy. When we see the number, it's followed by singular verb. When we say a number of, it's followed by a plural verb. But here we have an increasing number. So when you see the word increasing, always think of it as plural. Plural. Okay? Plural. So because it's plural, and also the word an, which is a vowel, like a, it also means it's plural. Okay? An increasing. So, since it's plural, it requires a plural verb too. Now, which is not a plural verb? The one that ends with s. So we can eliminate this. Okay. We're left with believe and who believe. Now, when we say who believe, does it make sense? In the Philippines, an increasing number of commuters who believe their families to be immune from the perils of city life. So when you add this, which is a relative clause, the sentence becomes incomplete. Now it becomes a dependent clause, uh, which is wrong because you need something else to complete it. So the correct answer here is believe their families to be. Okay, 23. They take pictures of the black of sorry, they take pictures blank the garden. Okay, and then the last noun is the subject of the action now. The last noun in this sentence is garden, right? It says the last noun is the subject of the action. What's the action? Taking picture. Okay, so this is the subject of the verb taking action. Now, based on that, what preposition do we use? Okay, is it in? They take pictures in the garden. Okay, in the garden. What's the meaning of that sentence? So maybe they're taking pictures of the flower of a particular tree of an insect, but not the garden itself. They're taking pictures of something else, but not the garden itself. And that's not the point of the question. So it's not the correct answer. How about at? They take pictures at the garden. Now, when you say at, you are talking more specifically of a place at the garden, and then the speaker and the listener both understand what is being referred to. But it's still a place that you're referring to. So it's not the correct answer. Correct answer is of here, because what is the subject of the taking of picture? It is the garden. They're taking picture of the garden itself, not the flowers, not a particular tree or butterfly, but the entire garden. So that's of. 24. Okay, we have clue for 2 weeks now. And then we have has. Has. Okay? And then there's a adverb in between has and then the blank. So I hope you know that the word has is an auxiliary verb, and usually it's followed by what? A verb in what form or in what um, aspect? In perfect. Okay? In perfect aspect or perfect tense. Now, for you to uh, make the verb in perfect tense or in perfect aspect, you need to change the verb into its past participle. Okay, past participle. Now, usually past participle of a verb ends with. It depends on the verb. If it's regular verb, it ends with d or ed. If it's irregular, it usually ends with n or en, or sometimes it does not change. So, for example, the word, uh, what's the word? Um, Slept. So, past tense of sleep is slept. Past participle of that is also slept. So there. So let's eliminate choices here. Is spoken a past participle? Yes. So check. Spoke past participle? No, it's not. That's past tense only. Did speak? Did. Okay, so that's past, not past participle, so it's not the correct answer. So the correct answer here is spoken. 24. Okay. Now this question has something to do with um, the agreement between the tense, especially if it's an interrogative sentence or a question sentence. Now, a question sentence begins uh, with, of course, the verb. Okay, so if it's a do verb, and if it's in past tense, we transform it to did. Okay, so you begin with did, and then we call this the auxiliary. Okay, the auxiliary verb. Now the auxiliary verb needs its main verb. Now the main verb, does it need to change, or does it have? I mean, does it stay the same? Its basic or base form. Of course, it should stay in its base form. If you already have the did as your auxiliary verb, no need to say did you did it. You don't say that. You say did you do it, right? Uh, did you jump or did you jump? Okay. Did you cooked or did you cook? Okay. So if you already have the auxiliary verb in past tense, then the main verb should be in its base form. So the base form here is not with the s, not with the d, but just the base form, convene. So convene is the correct answer. 26. I cannot. So here we're talking about idiom. Okay. Idiom. So idiom is a word or an expression whose meaning is not literal but figurative. It's deeper than meets the eye um, because of the culture and the history behind the use of that word. So for here, when we say put down, okay, its literal meaning is to put something down, lower at a lower level. For example, a book, you put the book down. So from your eye level to the ground level or to the desk level. But another meaning of put down is maybe it could be rejection. Okay, it could mean rejection. You're being rejected or not accepted. Now put up. It literal meaning is you're trying to again move one thing from lower level to an upper level. Let's put up now. Its other meaning, uh, figurative meaning, is that you're tolerating um, someone or something. You're tolerating. It's like you're accepting something or someone. And put off, it could mean delay, to delay something. Okay. Now, based on the meaning, the correct answer here is put up. I cannot put up with this mess anymore. So you cannot tolerate it or accept it anymore. Okay, we're almost done. Now, driving is my pastime hobby. The underlying word is what type of verbal. We're talking about verbal, and as you know, we have three verbals: gerund, infinitive, and participle. Gerund always ends with ing and always used as a noun. Okay, so this is used as a noun only. Okay, so whatever function the noun is, that's also the function of gerund. It could be the subject, it could be an appositive, it could be indirect or direct object, could be an object of proposition, etc. Infinitive always begins with to and then followed by the base form. Let's say to run, to cook, to sing, to dance, and it can function as a, as a noun, as an adjective, and also as an adverb. So this is the most versatile of all because it has many functions. Now, participle can be present or past participle, and it functions as an adjective. Okay, functions as an adjective, so it describes noun or pronoun. Here we have the word driving, so it ends in ing. So it could be a gerund, but it can also be a participle because participle can be past and present participle. For example, uh, uh, let's say rocking chair. Rocking. Okay, I hope I'm doing this right. So rocking chair. So this is the phrase. The noun here is the word chair. Now the word rocking is describing chair. But rocking here ends with ing. But it is describing chair. Therefore, the rocking is a word that's acting or functioning as an adjective, and therefore it is a participle. Here, driving is not describing a noun or pronoun, so therefore it's not adjective. It is functioning as a noun. It is the subject of the sentence. Correct answer is gerund. There you go. Now, 28, not getting enough sleep and exercise in terms of quantity and quality, blank unhealthy. Okay, here this is subject verb agreement, okay, SVA. But here we're using tricky subject because the subject is what? Gerund. Surprise, surprise. Not getting enough sleep and exercise. But there's also the word not, so meaning to say this is a negative gerund. Now, a negative gerund, okay, what's the rule in subject verb agreement if you see a negative gerund? The rule is that regardless if the gerund is positive or negative, it should be treated as singular. Okay? Not getting enough sleep and exercise. Because here you're only talking about one idea of not getting. One idea of not getting. So therefore, it should be singular. Alright? So correct answer is. 29. Okay. Ruined resort. See, we have verbal again. Now the word is ruined. Wait, this is not a gerund, obviously, because it's not an ing form. We can eliminate. So, is it infinitive? It does not have the to, so obviously, incorrect. It's participle, correct. Now, what kind of participle? Uh, Past or present? Well, it's not ending in ing, so it's not present. So, obviously, it's past participle. And it is an adjective. Why? Because it is describing the noun resort. What kind of resort? Ruined resort. Okay? Not new resort, but ruined resort. And 30, okay, here we go. Last question. It's the same question, right? But the question, sorry, it's the same example, but the question is the underlying word functions as what? Is it a verb, adjective, or adverb? I hope you already know. If you answer verb, obviously you're wrong. This is not a verb. Okay, this is a verbal. Okay, because it's describing the noun resort. Because it's describing a noun, therefore it is not an adverb, but an adjective. There you go. Okay, well, that's the end of the 30 item quiz or presentation. I hope you learned something from this. If you have questions, please list them and send them in the chat box or whatever forum you have access to. And hopefully, I would be able to answer your questions. And hopefully, the quiz which I prepared in the morning is already sent to you and you can answer them on your own. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening to me. And again, apologize for the delay. Hopefully, this will